welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast on the Reality After Show.
What is up, everyone? I am super excited to talk about episode 4 through 6 with everyone here. I'm excited. Yeah.
Well,
Great
I'm excited
start.
too. I'm excited too, Ryan. So it's been fun to watch and lots to, scoop on today. So it'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Some drama right when episode 6 ended.
Yep. Yeah, we're doing episodes 4 to 6 today, everyone, for our discussion. We're taking these in 3-episode chunks. But yeah, we're now finally out of the pods. We got to see the conclusion of the pods, and now, them going on their, little trip, the little couples trip. And a lot of already seeing tension between some of the couples. Already seeing what couples are probably not going to make it.
Yeah. I will say there were 7 groups that did make it, but I feel like cutting Leo and Brittany was probably obviously the wisest one to get rid of. Mm-hmm. The thing is, like, Leo, with everything that was going on, it just made the most sense. Like, with the back and forth between, Brittany and Hannah, it just was like, and the way it was done, I think it ended at the proper conclusion, if you ask me.
Yeah. It makes the most sense as a relationship, like clearly that they're the one that's most likely not to have anything happen. But entertainment wise, I would have liked to see them just go.
I agree with that 100% because she was definitely not into him, so it would have been fun to watch her have to stay in the same room with him, and it would be interesting.
And then go tell all the couples how terrible he is, and just bash him for like a whole episode.
No.
Definitely. No, it would have probably been the most entertaining, actually, besides a couple, maybe a couple of them.
No. But we got our 6. I mean, like, the thing is, like, and we kind of started to land on it I know with Ramsey and it's Marissa, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there was this whole, like, love triangle, and, like, obviously Marissa chose Ramsey instead and went with that. So, like, there was still some losses along the way, and like some things that might, as we saw in like the upcoming things, might come up when all the cast meets. But yeah, so like we were kind of like finishing up the couples getting together. So yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked by that pick by Marissa. I was kind of sad by it because what was the other guy's name? Braden. Yeah, I liked him, so I was kind of shocked that she just quickly made that decision. But yeah,
I think Broden was definitely a better choice. I feel like Broden would have gone to the altar and said yes. I don't know about Ramses. Mm-hmm. I feel like Ramses is maybe there for a good time right now. He's
I don't know. I feel like both of them are a good match together. I feel like Marissa could have gone either way, but I feel like those two, like, I see them and I feel like even how they've been interacting in the past, like 2, 3, like the episodes when they made it down, to the like retreat, they were vibing pretty well, and they looked like a fun couple. Like, so
they definitely do. They look cute together.
Yeah.
My biggest concern with them is before all the couples met up, Ramses was really interested of what all the other couples were doing. Like, that is not a good sign. Is like, because that shows insecurities. We saw some insecurities of him when he knew that there was he was competing with Broden. So we're seeing that insecurity kind of keep coming up, and when you're in a thing like this where you're going to get married in a month, like, eventually that can hit a boiling point of what can happen. So
absolutely,
that's fair.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Steven?
Steven, I think he's like a sweet guy, but I don't know if him and Monica are exactly going to be the couple to last.
Yeah, they're interesting.
They keep hinting that.
Yeah. And like his text, like when they were at all the couples were together, like he, I don't know, some of his comments were a little, I don't know. I thought they were kind of inappropriate. So it made me think like, maybe he's not as trustworthy as he seems.
I feel like the man. First off, we got to talk about the boner stuff because
that was
that was hilarious. And there was it was like, I'm a guy, so sometimes that happens. Even if the wind blows, like, that might set it off. And then at that party, he was like, "Is that the wind?" And I just lost it because I'm like, that was perfect comedy right there. I'm like,
Those are some of the inappropriate things. Like, I just don't feel like it's maybe a good match because she seems so like, like, I don't know, more, I don't want to say responsible, but like more, like he's more laid back and just kind of out there, and she seems more serious, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes that can balance out, but like I feel like the show is definitely planting seeds of stuff. There's a point where he was like talking a lot and didn't give her room to speak. And I know sometimes that can turn people off when someone keeps going on and on, not letting anyone have any room to talk. And it can be frustrating. How do I say that? Frustrating. When someone just is not giving any room to speak and they just keep going and going. And it's not really receptive. It might come off as socially unaware. And I hope that the bit that I'm doing is also paying off to the audience.
Yeah, I was going to say, I felt Monica's pain being your friend, so.
I've gotten better at it.
I was about to start laughing. I was like, okay, like.
Ryan could make just an hour of him talking straight if he wanted to.
That's funny.
I joked with Kristen to do a penalty for people not doing confessionals where I would talk 45 minutes straight. And if they didn't do confessionals, they would have to watch it and do a quiz afterwards. I actually filmed it, so I can prove that I can.
That's hilarious. That's funny. So what else? So what are you thinking about Nick? Like what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I'll just first off say I think the duck thing was hilarious. I would have been laughing at that whole thing. So I was a little like, Hannah, calm down. Now, like he brings in that other girl, but I don't know. Even then, it didn't feel like it was like inappropriate or anything. It just felt like he was like that's just his personality.
Just kind of happened. I feel like, and that's the thing. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say she made that up. Like she said that girl called her a bitch and stuff. Like none of that happened. Like I was like, what? Like
that's how she interpreted it in her head.
I feel also she had some drinks in her, so maybe like because she was telling the story and like that's how she interpreted it as well. Mm-hmm. I also feel like Nick was kind of like labeled as a flirty person and stuff like that, and I feel like if you're going to be with someone who's known to be kind of flirtatious or like that women gravitate towards, it's something where you have to have like an open dialogue of like how you go about that. I don't think, because I feel like Hannah's concerns were, valid, obviously. Even if like he had no intention of like talking to this lady and stuff, but when it's kind of like low key, they're like, engagement, kind of like celebration, and that kind of happens, I can see that rubbing someone the wrong way.
I can't to a degree, but like my husband is hilarious and like he does stupid things. So I could totally see him doing that. And like he was telling the girl that was his girl, he was like, yeah, she's over there. So if my husband didn't act like, or if we were engaged and he was like, I don't know that girl, or if he was acting like he didn't know me and was trying to get to know that girl, it would be one thing. But like I felt like he was being transparent, like, hey, that's my girl over there. She thinks I'm being stupid. Like I feel like that made it more respectful because he was including her. He wasn't like acting like he was not with her.
Yeah, and there was no like sexual like, dang, you're riding that duck hard. Like there was no like weird kind of like things going on there.
He kissed the duck. He kissed the duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Like I feel like she thought it was immature and like that's fine, but like I don't, I guess she's not she's different. Like she don't have the same sense of humor, and I guess they're still discovering each other. So I tried to give her some grace, but like I do feel like it was a little over the top.
Yeah, I mean,
I do think the person that would openly have a list out of things that, you know, like it's setting up and leaving that out, just writing it down is a no-no, but having it out in the open and not taking the care at least to keep that either A, in your personal belongings or, you know, tear it up, flush it, whatever, what have you, is a huge, you know, like that's something where it's like, okay, that's something totally fair to Nick to want to comment on as well, because it's like, you say all these things about me, and like, where are you at? Where are we in this relationship right now?
Yeah, I definitely think she wanted him to find that. Like, that's what I think. Like, it's like, here's some red flags about you, and I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah,
that's not healthy, but
does not look good for that relationship. I mean, we already knew, like, especially with all the Leo stuff that happened, that like this was already going to be a tough relationship to work, and now it's just like they're clearly not actually compatible. I think Hannah was just in a situation where the two guys that she ended up thinking was compatible with were just two guys who she was not going to work with, like whatever happened. So, yeah,
I agree.
Okay. How about Ashley and Tyler? Before I was like, I'm pretty sure that they're going to, go all the way. Now I'm like positive. Like we got so much like good content of them just being like, we're doing it, we're married, and they just seem like they're a great match with each other. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Huge red flag when he's basically like saying that someone in his past, if they bring something up, like, I mean, that to me is like, why would you even say that? Like, I would never even bring that up unless I knew that I'd done something or that something's about to come out. So, that automatically in my head set off red flags. Like, okay, you should be concerned.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a chance that we're going to get like an ex or something that comes into the fold and tries to do something.
For sure, definitely.
I mean, I still feel positive about them, and I feel like their dialogue has been still like good and like constructive too, even when they're tackling like the serious topics. I feel they're someone that they're both like a group that I can see, like a couple I can see make it to altar and get married. It's just like, and I saw this like something on either Facebook or Instagram where it's like, relationships and stuff and like problem solving, where if you want things to work, between you and your partner isn't the problem and you're not the problem. The problem is the problem. So it's about you two working together on this problem. And I feel like the most successful ones are the two that can look at it as like, all right, this is an issue we have to tackle together and figure it out. And I do feel from both of them that they both have that quality, what things throw their way.
Yeah, no, I love them as a couple, so I hope it works out. I just like that was a little bit of, a little bit of a red flag to me. I hope they work it out, and hopefully, nothing too crazy comes out, but we shall see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm still rooting for them. I like both of them as people and as a couple. So yeah, we'll see how they go. Let's see who else. Alex and Tim.
Yeah,
got to talk about them, which not great. It felt like it was fine, and then like we kind of then find out that at the end of the party, like something kind of just was off about everything, and they had a already kind of a big talk, which definitely can be a big red flag in the relationship if they're already having that kind of talk and concerns about the relationship and all this stuff.
Yeah. I agree. I there were some moments where, sometimes what might be that kind of like joking but like bashing kind of like sense of humor, because I kind of saw that where they were doing that. But like there were moments with their interactions where I was like, is this actually that? Or is it like they are addressing some concerns? And I feel like it was like a slow burn with that episode, and then we finally kind of saw it And that was the cliffhanger too of like, will they, won't they? And like, you know, he was even like, I think it's kind of like a sad thing because it does seem like Alex wants to make it work and get past this thing. But when she was like, come on, get a little closer, and he's like, I don't want to. And she did. It's like she's giving you an out. But like the fact is, I say the chances are bleak, but the thing is, he didn't end things there. He went into it thinking like, oh, that was going to be their last conversation. At the very least, he didn't think that, so that's progress, at least.
Yeah, but I didn't like the fact that he was like, I wasn't even going to come back. Like, you're lucky. Basically, you're lucky that I gave you this. Like, I mean, if you're engaged, like, would you do that? Like, you know, if you really were into it, like, I just don't feel like that would be something I would even say. Even if I felt that way, I don't think I would verbalize that. If I was willing to work it out and I said it, I wouldn't go back and go, and by the way, I almost never came back, you know, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's not a good sign.
It's gasoline on the fire. You know, it's making the problem worse.
Yeah, and when it's so early in it, like, these things are magnified to 100. Like, you know, if you have an issue like this, like, but you're already kind of been together for a while, like, you can kind of like talk it out or whatever and figure it out. But you're like just engaged. You've been with each other now for like a day as like an actual relationship. And if you're willing to walk away within a day, I mean, the odds of you actually wanting to repair it are pretty much not there.
Yeah, that's what I think. And I almost feel like she kind of changed. Like, at first she was really kind of, I don't want to say dominant, but she was like, her personality showed up big time. And then like toward, you know, the end there at the like where they ended, like, I feel like her spirit's gone. Like, I don't know. She doesn't seem the same. She almost seems defeated. Like, she's trying to change for him, like, to be whatever he wants. And to me, that's never going to work if you have to change who you are for somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, he doesn't have a good fashion sense either. I mean, he was wearing that hat. I mean, like, that's a real ick right there.
That's the hat too. I liked it. And didn't somebody have it on? Somebody else had it on. And he was like, you have the hat. I can't remember.
My thing is, like, and I think this is another thing, and like, everyone has their own sense of like fashion identity, stuff like that, and like how they like to present themselves. And like sometimes, how they dress and how they present themselves can be like a turn off or an ick to someone. But I think it's something like, it depends on, I mean, like, the funny thing is, it's like Love is Blind. That's the whole thing. So, like, you felt good with it, but like, oh, okay, because this person, their fashion sense might not be the best. It's like, that's making you rethink things. I think it's totally valid because it's a representation of who you are, what you want to put there out into the world. But I feel like there was nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. It was just another sign of, you know, maybe they weren't the right couple for each other. If, you know, you're having some of these kind of issues and stuff. You know, if you're a good couple, like, you don't care if your partner is wearing something silly or something that you don't care about. Like, you know, like you can make jokes about it and laugh about it. But, you know, it felt like there was a real, like, you should not be doing that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, I would buy my husband a dumb hat just to see if he'd wear it, you know? Like, I dare you to wear this, you know? Like, come on. Like,
Exactly. Let's see. What else happened? I'm trying to think.
I mean, it's
I guess we haven't talked too much about Garrett and Taylor. I felt like they just were like solid. I mean, there was the tape incident with
what was behind that, really? I didn't get a chance to research, like, what's the benefit of taping your mouth shut at night. I understand people wanting to tape my mouth shut for reasons, but
mine too, Ryan. Mine too. I think it had to do with snoring, right? Like, is that what it was?
Perhaps.
I don't know. It might be. I know sometimes like people's like jaw like does this a lot, like it kind of like clenches and stuff. So I wonder if it was something that related. Because I know that snoring, there's other ways that you can stop snoring. Like you can have like a nasal strip, like you can put something here.
I don't know. I don't even remember, but like it was hilarious. Like, And they're still my favorite. I love them. Like, if they don't get married, I'm gonna be so heartbroken. Like, I love them.
It does seem like with the next time on Love is Blind, for like when the new batch of episodes come out, that there could be some trials and tribulations. But what I was kind of like saying earlier, and like I feel like with them, like when they were talking about like, hey, we're both two ambitious people, that are pretty like woven into our lives. That's going to be an obstacle that we have to address. And it seems like both of them obviously seem very intellectual, and it does seem like they can work that out. But yeah, I feel like I feel like that is also my favorite Tanya. And I think they had a lot of good moments here. But the tape one was probably was the silliest, because I've never seen anything like that before.
I've never heard of anyone doing that, so it was definitely bizarre. And then trying to then put it on and make it all silly. I mean, it was good.
And I love her fashion sense. She has the best fashion sense. Not that should matter on the show, but I love it. And like, I just like together. I mean, if he did something silly, I think she would be there doing it with him. Like, I just feel like their chemistry's there. Like, they connect.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like I said, favorite out of the bunch. But I'm also a nerd, so I like a good nerdy couple.
Me too. I think that's why.
Same.
Well, yeah. They had me at the nerdy tattoos. I loved it. I was like, oh yeah, definitely right there. Yeah.
I mean, I still think that it's 100% they're getting married. I would be floored if something actually does separate them at this point.
Oh, I'm gonna be mad if it happens. I will be mad if they get broke up.
It does seem like on the, like in that little preview of the episodes to come, like that, their mothers may not approve, but we were getting that from a lot of different people. Like, someone threatened to cut off some balls if they crossed.
Marissa,
and Ramsey's, you're just gonna see the nervous look on his face, and like, understandably so.
I mean, they're definitely just doing that to like be like, ooh, something might happen with this couple, because you always have to have drama. Like the previous season, there was this couple that was pretty much fine the entire time, but they were like not sure about how they were going to do with pregnancy and using condoms and stuff, and that was their big like, oh, I don't know if we can. And they were like, oh, we're fine. We'll just use condoms. Like we can still just do that. And
they're still one of my favorite couples too. I love them. So yes, definitely. Like, they need some drama. So
so they're gonna find like the littlest thing. The producers will even kind of be like, "Come on, do something." Like, they'll just poke them with the stick if they have to.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, have problems.
Oh, I'm sure they probably script some, don't you think? Like, I don't know, because like Survivor's different. Like, there's gaming laws, and I've just recently learned that I already knew they had gotten sued over season 1, like with some stuff that went on, and so from then on, like, they were like, no, we have to be really strict about this, but because it's for money and prizes, like, you can't cheat the system. You're not supposed to anyway.
No.
So I'm curious to see if they do add drama. Like, that's not to say on Survivor they don't put stuff in your head. So like, if I go to tribal council and they're interviewing me, they may say, Joe, talk to me today about the challenge. Like, do you think Ryan screwed up? And you can't answer the question. You have to act like it's your thought. So you're like, hey, in today's challenge, Ryan really screwed up, or what? So things that you wouldn't even normally be thinking, they do put in your head. And it does make you paranoid. Like, I was starting to get mad at people. I was like, are they talking smack about me? Like, when they're not, around me, because they seem so nice. And like, you do get a little crazy and paranoid, because when they're pulling you aside, they ask questions to provoke that. So, I mean, that's kind of their way of.
Yeah. That's why Danny Boatwright is a great winner. She told in her confessional she would not give the producers any of that information, so that way they wouldn't go off and tell other people like, oh, what do you think about, Danny like this, or,
so
like
smart.
None of that stuff. Yeah.
So smart.
Ryan, what do you think of Danny Boatwright?
I am just bitter that Stephanie did not win that season, or Rafe. Like, I feel like those two I liked a lot, and like Danny Boatwright, I forgot about who she was as a winner, and so when Winners of War came out, I was like a little really? I had to look her up on what season she won. And I'm not like a casual fan at all. I was like, oh, okay. Now, granted, I watched some of the seasons on back when it was CBS All Access, like one season a week. And it was in that span of I was filling in the blanks of the seasons I haven't caught. And she was at the bitter end of that. And I also was in college, so a lot of stuff was going on. So maybe I also forgot her. But it's a running gag on Joe and I's home channel that I despise Danny Boatwright. I don't despise her. We
She's
just
so
play it
nice.
up for laughs.
Yeah.
She seems not, but that's just the running joke on there. And Joe teases me. He teases me a lot.
Listen, I was also for Stephanie. Just if we're being honest, Stephanie deserved it.
Yeah.
She is badass. So I get it. I definitely get it.
I consider Danny Boatwright one of the most underrated players of Survivor. I think that she gets overlooked because of that, but I think she actually does play a solid game.
Yeah, I could see that.
She plays a respectable game.
Yeah, for sure. And it's hard to talk to him and not reveal stuff because literally you're dying for somebody to talk to. Because think about it, you have to be so filtered with who you share stuff with that it's nice to have somebody to share stuff with that's kind of a third party. So, I mean, that really is. I didn't even know she was doing that. That's smart.
Exactly. I love that we're still talking about Survivor on the Love is Blind podcast. I know. Hey,
they all mesh. I would love to see some of the production crew because, a lot of the old Survivor castmates do production for different shows. So I wonder if there's any that does Love is Blind, like Katie Gallagher. She does them. So
interesting.
Yeah.
It's Jonny Fairplay, reality TV icon, Survivor Hall of Famer. And I'm talking today about Work Money. Work Money is a non-profit organization that focuses on lowering costs and raising incomes for all Americans to make American life more affordable and American families more economically secure. They provide products, services, perks, benefits, tips, and tools to help members improve their financial lives. It's time to level up and make more money in this economy. We're talking getting rich. Now, this sweepstakes is giving away $50,000. You can use this to pay your rent, your mortgage. Imagine what you can do with all the money that you'll save. Now, this is put on by Work Money, and this site has all these sick benefits, and it's free. Go sign up right now and get more rich. Now, listen, you can change your life. Now, what would you do if you didn't have to pay your rent or mortgage for a year? Listen, sign up right now for free. Link is available right here in the show notes. Check them out. Personally, I'd get more pinball machines. I'm Jonny Fairplay. I wouldn't lie about that. It's Work Money. More money.
So going back to Love is Blind, Hannah and Nick, there's a weird instance where they don't really want to talk about, their new sexual stuff going on, especially with the producers. They're like, let's conceal all of this, let's hide it, let's not let them know about all of it. What are your thoughts on kind of that? Because that seemed like it was a big talking point for them.
I'll let you go first, Tanya.
Okay, I was gonna go, and I was like, I'm gonna wait. No, for me, I feel like it's when it's going out to the universe, I can understand being respectful and not putting it out there. When I was on Survivor, not to bring that back up, but I worked with sexually abused children. I didn't have the job I have now, so I was like, I will not talk about stuff like that. I won't change in front of the cameras. I'm just gonna be respectful to who I am and to the, I was working with kids, and so. I feel like everybody kind of has their own character and reputation and morals that they want to represent. And if he didn't want to talk about that, I would like that as a girl. I wouldn't want him to share that and put that out there if,
I also feel and with any, relationship, that is a pillar. It could be a pillar of the absence of sex. It could be the pillar of okay, that is, and it's also a weird subject to talk about. I still, I'm a grown adult, even if my face doesn't suggest it. I feel weird talking about it. But it's what are people comfortable talking about with? And to kind of circle back to Taylor and Garrett, and they said like, oh, they didn't, you know, have sex their first night and stuff. I'm like, that's totally fine because that's just, you know, how they want to do it. You know, that's how they want to approach the relationship. And I think especially something as touchy as like sex and something as intimate, it's like something where if you don't want to share about it, it's totally fine.
Yeah. I was more just surprised that they actually left that in the show. Like, that feels like something that they would have just had a conversation and then just, like, ignored it. But,
like, it might come up later.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta. I mean, they wouldn't include that if it's not going to be something that leads to either a fight or an argument or something big and dramatic.
I agree.
Totally fair.
Yeah. But they do it every season. They talk about it every season. Like, you know, all the couples get together and they're like, are you doing it? Like, you know, like, so I get like where that would come up, and it may just be uncomfortable. Like, I don't know how y'all's parents are, but my mom would have a stroke if I talked about that, like literally. So I just would not do that out of respect for my mom. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to get into that. I'll be candid. But yeah, it is something where I think it is definitely like person by person, case by case.
Yes.
And who's comfortable saying what. And it's like that dynamic.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. So yeah, out of the remaining couples, I mean, it really seems like from what we're talking about that we're still on Garrett and Taylor, and Ashley and Tyler is like the ones that seem pretty comfortable. And I don't know, I don't see any of the other couples personally.
I'm rooting for Marissa and Ramsey. I think they can make it.
Okay.
Even if they had that love triangle, I think they can move past it.
Would you say like it's like a 50-50, like a coin toss of if they do or don't?
I'd say 75-25.
There's something about him I don't trust. I trust her 100%, but there's something about him that I don't. Yeah. And so I feel like she's into him, but like we'll see. Like I hope it's 50-50, but we'll see.
I'd say 75-25 in favor. I could be biased because he has, you know, little strands of hair and it reminds me of Jedi, so maybe that's making me think of him in a positive light a bit more. Yeah. But I'm like, no, I feel like they have really good chemistry. So I feel like it's 75-25. Like, I know they're hinting at some, you know, some like trouble in the future, but I'm like, they seem like they can work past this. They may seem like the fun couple, but I do feel like they can talk it out.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I mean, the kid part could scare him, like didn't she kind of want him to be a stay-at-home dad or something like that? Like I think they had a conversation about that. Like I feel like you know, that could scare him off or something, but I'm hoping not. They seem to have great chemistry. So
I mean, she did say that, you know, like she's into masculine guys, and then kind of had to retract and be like, no, I actually really like you. There was kind of some weird stuff there. But
I feel like just because you have a good fashion sense and stuff like that, and you're in touch with like your more what would be deemed as like feminine parts of you, doesn't mean you're less masculine. You know, it's like the whole thing about guys wearing pink and stuff like that. It's like, I feel it's something where it is more masculine to be comfortable. Like if it is something like if you want to paint your nails because like, not necessarily because you feel like it, but like, oh, if like, you know, your SO wants to do it, and like if your girlfriend is like, oh, paint one of your nails or something like that, and you feel comfortable with that, like you don't care about that proves more than being like, you have big muscles, stuff like that, buzz cut, all that stuff. Like yeah.
I mean,
a lot of guys are metrosexual too. Like, you know, like I call it metrosexual. I don't know if that's the right term, but like kind of like you're saying, they wear pink, they wear the shorter pants, like with the dress shoes with no socks. Like, you know, like some people can perceive that as feminine. I call it more like metrosexual, you know, like it's more of a different look.
I just think, you know, I mean, she even kind of expressed it like the military background is usually more isn't into that stuff. Like they're kind of like against it a little bit. Doesn't mean that like that's your personality is like I hate, you know, people like this or whatever. but it does there's mental like barriers and blocks that you have to now overcome and get through those hurdles, which is inevitably kind of going to make it a little tougher to for me to see this relationship going all the way through. We're seeing the insecurities of Ramses. I definitely see the red flags, but I mean, like, they look like they're a great couple on the outside, but I think when you dig deeper, I think you see the issues.
I see like there could be possibility. I want to present this to kind of like expand upon this to both of you with the question of like, if you're dating someone for the first time that is not typically your type, is that, like, how do you go about that? Do you feel like you should have to adjust a little bit? Or is it like, okay, it's a new experience, I'm still kind of figuring this out? What are your guys' thoughts?
I feel like I'm very open to dating people, like, and taking them for who they are. If I like you, I like you, and I'll just try to figure it out. Like, if I get to the point where I'm like, okay, this is too weird for me or too different, and I feel like I have to be different to accept that person, then I would definitely probably cut it off. But for me, I feel like Marissa's like that. I feel like she's very open to letting him be who he is, as long as it's respectful of her. So I can kind of see her being okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I also know that sometimes in the dream reality of what could happen, that sounds great, but also, you can get into instances where you do find something that you're not too into, and that's now a part of them, and you're about to get married to this person in such a short amount of time that those small little things suddenly feel like they're, these gigantuan things to get over.
I mean, Tanya, you have more insight. Joe and I have never been engaged, I've never been in a relationship past more than 6 months. So, like, you have more insight on that when you decide to marry someone and stuff like that, and they have, like, little things like that. What is that, like, is it something you work through? Is it, like, kind of like, give us some insight?
Yeah, I honestly feel like if, like, for me, listen, you could call me a runaway bride. I've been engaged like 5 times and married twice. So, listen, I don't know that I'm the expert on this. Like, maybe I shouldn't be giving advice, but for me, like, I feel like you probably would weed that out if you weren't into something. Like, if they were too different from you, or, like, to me, like, I embrace difference. Like, I feel like I can learn and grow as long as you're respectful. But now if your partner's like, no, you have to be this way too, or you have to, if it gets to the point where their views would change mine, I would probably just end it before I even got to that point. Of course, this is a little different because they're in the pods and they're already engaged before they even really know each other. But, like, I just see Marissa as someone similar. Like, her personality is bubbly and sweet. Like, I feel like she would give anybody the opportunity as long as they were respectful of her and embrace their difference, and I like that. I feel like you learn from people when you're different. I mean, people are all different. Some people really hate that, but for me, I feel like you constantly grow as a person when you embrace yourself around people that are different from you, and it helps you grow.
Yeah.
I love the answer from you too, because last episode, you guys were you loved love. I'm the one who hated love, so it makes sense that I'm more negative on this relationship working than you two.
Love still. I still love it.
I feel like we have a good dynamic because we do have some walks of life of different stuff. Like I said, with Tanya, we do have, like, a woman's perspective on everything, as well as someone who has been engaged, who has been married. You have me, who's a hopeless romantic, who has a little dating experience, and you have Joe, who hates love with
everyone.
a burning ashes.
I want to see the world burn. I want to just see, like, chaos, and the perfect Love Is Blind season has no marriages at the end. No one gets married. It's just
worse.
You're evil. This is why, Joe. We just need the right person in your life.
Yes. When they work out and they get married, like, I literally cry. Like, I'm so excited for them. Joe's probably like, boo.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's expected, I want to see chaos.
That's so funny. We're gonna put you on. We're gonna send your application in. You are gonna fall head over heels for someone. We're gonna make it happen.
No, I'm only trying to get that vacation, and then I'm gonna go there and be like, okay, listen, we're not doing anything, but we're just gonna have some fun here. We're gonna drink, get some free food, and then leave.
Well, that's actually a great point right there. I would love to know your all's opinion. Do you think that happens? Do you think that some of these contestants are? I feel like it's not to be biased, but I do feel like it could more be the males than the females. Like that are really just doing it because, like, hey, let's win a trip. Let's, like, and maybe they do it at first and then they do end up falling in love. I don't know. But, like, what do you think about it?
It's possible.
I would say that I feel like there's a good chance that like 40 to 50% of the people out there who are just there to get a little further in the show, get some more screen time, and get that vacation. I think that there's a lot of them that are just doing that. And then if they like the person, like they'll maybe try and see what happens, but they're not really convinced.
Yeah.
Like it's not legally blinding. The show gives you outs. So, it's not like as soon as you propose, you are destined. No gives you backsies or anything. You're not forced to be in it. It gives you some outs. So, like, I feel like if you want to partner up with someone just because, but you still have that chemistry, like, obviously you don't want to just willy-nilly be like, okay, I'm going to be engaged to this person just to have a free trip to Cabo. But, like, I feel like there are some people who's like, all right, let me get that screen time. The allure of screen time.
Yeah, I feel like you're probably right. I do feel like it's probably like 40-50%. I really do. I feel like they're like, hey, let's just go get paid to be on TV.
Yeah, I remember last season there's this one guy who, he seemed like a great guy, and then like the second they got back to their real world, he was just on his phone the entire time. Like he just, like, you could tell he was checked out. He really wasn't there for anything else. He was like, I got my free stuff, now I'm back in the real world, I don't care.
And that girl was gorgeous, by the way, that he was with. And I heard they're best friends still. Like, they're still best friends. I thought she was way prettier. I thought he outkicked his coverage. And
he did.
Was shocked by that. But they're like best friends. They talk every day now as like best friends.
Yeah, I think he definitely made a mistake. I feel like he should have actually tried, but that's the case. Like, you could go probably every season and be like, here are the couples that like just seem from the offsets that they weren't there to actually try to make it work.
Yeah, I think that's why like I might be more biased because I feel like most of the time when that has happened, when they do come back to the real world, it's certain guys that do that. Like they start changing as soon as they get back in the real world and they're like, oh, I didn't really want this. Like, now that the free vacay is gone, like I want to go back to my house. I have no intention of moving or getting married. Like, it's just interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's like a tough thing when it comes to not even this, but also like if you do get into a showmance with anyone, it's like that's like a real world thing. It's like, all right, do you want to do long distance for a little while? Do you want to, because like moving across the country is a big step. It makes it easier to still talk to your friends long distance and stuff like that. You can still have that connection, but you don't see them as much. And like, honestly, it's a different culture wherever you go. Like, we're still like, if it's within, your country and stuff, it's like, there's still like similarities, stuff like that, but it's different culture, way of life. Even if it's like a similar field and what you're doing, the vibe is different.
Yeah. And living together is different than vacating with someone too. Like when you move in and like, I mean, seriously, me and my husband have been together for 8 years now. And we still like, he leaves dishes in the sink or whatever. And I've just like cleaned the sink. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, it's hard to live with someone. I don't know. Do y'all have roommates? Like, it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I have to. I've had it all. I've had messy roommates. I've had roommates that invited people over through parties without telling us.
Oh, gosh.
I've had roommates that I've really vibed with, roommates I haven't really vibed with, roommates that have become my best friends. I've had like, I've kind of dealt with mostly everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Same.
I guess that's part of it too, is like you you're not just like the vacation's over and now you're like in the real world, and it's like hitting harder because you're like, can I really live with this person like that?
Yeah,
leaves the toilet seat up, whatever little things that get on your nerves. But
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I think it was Alex who had not lived with someone before, so that is going to be a tough thing for Alex and Tim, who are already in a rocky relationship, because if you're not used to living with someone, and then suddenly you're thrust into it and you don't know what to do, you know, it's going to create more friction, more conflict, and even if it's just like someone trying to be like respectful, like, hey, can you please clean this up? Like, some, you know, grown adults sometimes don't like hearing that, especially if they've never been told that before. So it can be definitely, you know, test some relationships, even the smallest things.
Agree. 100%. You can get defensive 100% easy. Like when you're in a relationship, it's like, I can just say something simple like, did you take the trash out? Well, you didn't ask me to, or I wasn't home, or, you know, I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'm just asking so I know if I'm going to take it out. Like, you know, so it's interesting because it really can make someone defensive and can cause an argument over silly things.
Yeah. One thing I will bring up too, because sort of in the same vein, and I've actually had an experience like this before, where I forget which couple it was, but they brought up, I think it was like the girls talking about, it was like, oh, he hasn't been in a relationship in like 7 years. Is that like, you know, like we're talking about love, so some of these things are going to come up. I remember I had really good chemistry with someone, and we were like talking and, you know, about our dating history, and mine was a little sparse, and I said that I hadn't had like a girlfriend in almost 6 years, and when she was like, I'm not sure about this, that was one of the points she brought up too, and I'm like, how does that, you know, like, do you think that could actually be a problem? I forget which couple brought this up, but maybe you can help remind me.
I'm trying to remember who that would have been.
Yeah, I'm not remembering either.
I think it may have been Taylor and Garrett.
I was wondering if it was them.
Yeah.
If it was her, maybe that wasn't in a relationship. I think maybe she had gone for several years without being in one. But I mean, like, to me, that's almost responsible. The fact that you're okay with not being in a relationship and working on you, like, I wouldn't hold that against somebody. I feel like you might, I mean, now if they have a history or something, a bad history where nobody wants to date them, maybe that's different. But if you're really just like taking time for you and you are transparent with that, I would almost rather have a guy that's not been dating every girl in town, you know? So I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah. And I mean, they're clearly both like self-driven, like they're, you know, very ambitious, like people. So like that makes sense. Like, you know, it would make sense if they're like so career focused that they just never had time to get into a relationship.
Absolutely.
Which is part of the reason why for me. But so thank you for validating me, and B,
yes.
Joe actually showing approval for me. This is a first.
I
like it.
Get it while you can, you know.
I think, Tanya, you make him more well behaved.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Ryan's now gonna, whenever I make fun of him, he's just gonna call you up and just be like, Tanya, please.
Listen, I got your back, Ryan. I got you. Joe, listen. Joe will come around. He will. He sees some work. We'll work on him. We're gonna make him love.
That would be quite the character growth. That's like like movies can't have that much character growth. Like, you know, this is becomes a Hallmark movie. This podcast.
You can, Joe. You can change. You can change. It is possible and probable.
With the right girl, listen, he can talk smack. I swear. Like, with the right girl, I can see it. I feel like it's going to happen, and we're going to laugh at you.
Yeah, it's going to happen on Love is Blind.
Yes. Listen, if your application gets in there, I know how it happened.
Exactly.
We're going to send it in.
Yeah, I don't think Love is Blind is going to be reaching out to me anytime soon. I think it's not.
You have to make the first move, Joe. You have to make the first move.
You'd be.
You never know. We do this podcast.
Yeah, I know. I would be the one that everyone's just like, don't go, and then there's going to be one who's like, oh, but maybe. and they're gonna say, "Don't do that."
Joe, there are some people out there that loves good bad boy, so
that's true.
No,
I have a friend like that. Yes, very true.
Yeah. You know, the thing that like scares me the most if I ever did it, honestly, is I hate my voice so much, and like that is the introducing thing to Love Is Blindness, is how your voice sounds.
Oh my god! Well, they would laugh at mine, so I don't know why you hate your voice. They probably couldn't even understand me, so it's all good. I embrace it.
I'm trying to think, like, I think it's like it's your voice, and I've met people like that don't like seeing themselves on camera, stuff like that. The thing is, like, even if you don't like it, someone else will appreciate it, and that someone else is the one.
Yeah, I mean, I do voice acting stuff too, so like I'm used to hearing my voice a lot. And one thing that my friends always say is that I sound like I belong on a Mucinex commercial. Like that seems like the perfect.
Did you say a Mucinex?
A Mucinex commercial.
From like closing my eyes, it's hard because like we've known each other for so long.
Yeah, but I mean, can't you imagine me with the sniffles and, you know?
Oh my god! Now I can't unsee it. Like I can't. That's so funny.
Yeah,
I just think the little green guy walking around, like
That's
if you haven't
just
picked
how my
out a
voice
Halloween costume yet, Joe, we are recording this the day before Halloween.
Yes,
you can paint yourself green, just match his fit. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Okay, well, anything else to talk about on this episode? Anything else anyone can think of?
Not too much comes to mind. I think we've all kind of like established which couples we think are going to last, what points are going to come back up, and how we felt about the last 3 episodes. So I think we covered all our bases.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I'm excited. I'm ready to see who's getting married. I'm excited.
I know we got 2 more episodes of this review podcast, so we still got a few more.
Reunion.
The reunion.
The reunion, yeah. We gotta cover that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that's going to do it here for this episode of the Day After Podcast on the Reality After Show, and we will see you all in the next one.
Peace.
Bye.